you, Mrs. Greenwich. Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Minister. Thank you for showing up. We understand that you're busy, but as you said, better late than never. Thank you for coming. So I'll just get right into it. So, we understand that it is a new process for Carriacou. So we want to start with the foundation as to how it all began. Grenada had signed onto two conventions. One of the convention is the OAS, Inter-American Convention Against Corruption, which was adopted in Venezuela in 1999 and ratified by Grenada in 2002. 1996, thank you. And ratified by Grenada in 2002. The mechanism for follow-up on the implementation of the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption, MISISIC, that is the oversight body over the convention. The purpose is to promote and strengthen the development by each of the state parties of the mechanisms needed to prevent, detect, punish, and eradicate corruption. The next convention that Grenada acceded to is the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. This was acceded by Grenada in 2015. This is a global treaty to which the United Nations member states subscribe global framework to harmonize anti-corruption efforts worldwide. If I'm losing anybody, don't be afraid to ask me to slow down. Okay, the aim of this presentation today is to make sure that persons understand the process and why we're doing it. We go on to the establishment of the Integrity Commission. Two acts was highlighted earlier, that is the Prevention of Corruption Act and the Integrity in Public Life Act. Because of the Integrity in Public Life Act, Grenada had to establish an Office of the Integrity Commission. That is why we are here today. That is because we would have signed on to conventions. So here we are. The chairman will have highlighted the members of the commission, so I will not go into it again, because you are familiarized with these persons as the chairman would have shared earlier. Our vision is to become a fully operational, well-respected, and independent entity whose operations achieve the establishment of a public sector managed by persons in public life who demonstrate the highest levels of integrity. Our mission is to actively implement the requirements of the Integrity in Public Life Act, number 24 of 2013, to impact the overall reduction and elimination of corruption in Grenada's public sector through professional and committed personnel and the independent and consistent application of required procedures. It is important that we highlight the independence of the Commission. It is stated in our Act clearly, which says, in the exercise of its functions under this Act, the Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. So we're asking you on our behalf, persons who don't know better, please let them know that the Commission is independent indeed. This is our logo. So we have our own Integrity Commission logo, which also highlights our independence. It was designed by Alyssa Prince, a student of the St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School. And we also have a mascot, which was designed by Celine Dixon, student of the Anglican High School. And it was named by students of the St. Joseph RC, Majalu, and current government, Trustee Megzi. So the logo and the mascot, and also the naming of the competitions, are part of our outreach program, where we look at the secondary and primary schools, getting them involved and getting them to know the Integrity Commission at a tender age. So we're targeting the culture of anti-corruption from a very young age. So when these children grow up into adults, they'll be more responsible and understand the impact of corruption and they understand the importance of right from wrong and doing what is right. The Commission, of course, like any organization, has objectives. One is to implement all of the provisions and requirements of the Integrity in Public Life Act and the Prevention of Corruption Act, which we call our sister act, and other legal instruments incidental thereto. UNEDA, being a signatory to the two conventions, which was explained earlier, the Commission must adhere to the provisions of that convention and participate in all relevant follow-up mechanism, which we have named MASISIC, for giving effect thereto. UNEDA also acceded to the United Nations Convention, as we also mentioned earlier. So one of our objectives is to adhere to this convention, which included declaration processes and outreach processes. The Commission has 4 core values, so I'll briefly go through them with you. And also to note that these core values are also part of our mandates. Security. The Commission is located in a secured location. The declarations, which you will be filing tomorrow, some of you, will be secured in a locked vault that not any and everybody have access to. We will get into that later down in the presentation, the whole process, so you understand where your documents are going and who has access to it. Impartiality, that means that the Commission has to be fair in all that it does. Service, what we are doing right now. Serving you, serving Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Market. And confidentiality. As I said, it's all laid down in our mandate. If any one of us is to break the confidentiality code that we have according to our mandate, we are liable to a hefty fine and/or imprisonment. So this is serious business. The main functions of the Commission is to carry out those functions and exercise the powers pursuant to the provisions of our acts. To receive and examine all declarations filed to the provision of the act. Whereas some countries would receive declarations, however, as our chairman will say, it's like a post box. They receive the declarations and it's stored somewhere and no one touches it. However, the Integrity Commission of Grenada is required to go through all declarations received. We are also, one of our main functions is also to make such inquiries as it considers necessary in order to verify or determine the accuracy of a declaration filed pursuant to the Act. So that is part of our compliance process, which we will go through again later in this presentation. We are also required to receive and investigate complaints regarding alleged breaches of the provisions of this Act or the commission of any suspected offense under the provision of the Prevention of Corruption Act. Investigate the conduct of any person falling under the purview of the Commission, which in the opinion of the Commission may be considered dishonest or conducive to corruption. You are also required to examine the practices and procedures of public bodies, which includes statutory bodies. We are required to instruct, advise, and assist the heads of public bodies with respect to changes in practices or procedures which may be necessary to reduce the occurrence of corrupt practices, carry out programs of public education intended to foster an understanding of the standard of integrity, perform such other functions and exercise such powers as are required pursuant to the provisions of this Act. So I'm going through this, but it will be explained later down in the presentation because of these main functions. The Commission has created policies and procedures to guide us accordingly into executing our main functions. So we're heading towards corruption. This picture depicts typical corruption. Many stories you can tell from it. Many, many stories. They say a picture tells 1,000 words. Let's define corruption. Corruption may be defined as providing of grants or gifts, the bribing of, or the offering of money to a receiving party, in this case public official, with the intention of influencing the receiving party to do a task that is not in accordance with his or her duties. The reason why we highlight public official is because the Integrity Commission has its mandate over persons in public life, not private. Corruption includes bribery, fraud, illegal self-dealing, conflict of interest, misuse of public power for private gain by government officials. Ethics and integrity. These are two words we hear very often, but I wonder if we actually stop and think that there may or may not be a difference between these two. Would you agree that there's a difference, or there are no differences between the two, integrity and ethics? You think there's a difference? And correct you are. We're going to go into what are the differences between the two. So ethics is something that is external. For example, laws, code of conduct, certain procedures that you should follow in the workplace or in school, and if you don't, maybe there are sanctions or punishments. However, integrity is something intrinsic. It's your belief, it's your values, your morals. Regardless of the laws or the procedures that you must follow, what you feel inside, what you believe, what you value, that is right or wrong, you follow that regardless of the laws. So that's the two difference. That's the differences between the two. And it is important that we develop integrity over ethics, and that's why we're starting from young, hence the public outreach, going to the schools and involving the literature. Who are our stakeholders? The Integrity Commission cannot do it alone. The Minister has shared that we have to do it together. And therefore, the Integrity Commission has a number of stakeholders: national, regional, international. So just to name a few, the OAS and the UNODC, that's the conventions you would have noted earlier, the Commonwealth Secretariat and the CCAICACB, that is the Commonwealth Caribbean Association of Integrity Commissions and Anti-Corruption Bodies, which started in 2015 right here in Grenada. We have the Public Service Commission, the court system, the Ombudsman Office, and it goes on. Churches, the media, we have everyone. We consider basically everyone, the whole community, society, as our stakeholders. And these are systems. So I'm sorry that you cannot see it clearly, but you will have a deeper understanding of some of our policies and procedures in a while. So just to name a few, we have it as the administrative system and the operations systems. On the operations systems, we have declarations, which will be happening tomorrow. The compliance system, we have gift management. We will be discussing gift registry a little later. We have public education, which just keep coming up. And we have conflict of interest management, which is very important. Code of conduct. On the administrative system side, we have financial management. You know, the normal day-to-day running of any business, any or entity. Training and development, and it goes on. So we're going to go into declarations now. How many persons are required to declare tomorrow? By a show of hands. Okay, this segment will be very important for you. Just in case you might be questioning some of the things you would have filled out, this session is your opportunity to ask as many questions and get it as clear as day if you have any doubts in your mind. So in your packages, you would have received 3 documents. One, the notice to file, which will give you the period you're filing for, the date and time you're filing for. Then you have your declaration form, which is to be completed, and the instruction sheet. I must share that it's important to read the instruction sheets. The purpose of it is to guide you through accordingly how you fill out each section and also the required documents that you're supposed to bring with you tomorrow. The declaration process. The Commission shall receive and examine all declarations filed pursuant to the provisions of the Act. The Commission shall require all persons in receipt of a notice issued by the Commission to file a declaration. We have 33 categories of persons required to file a declaration. Because of our limited resources, our office is small, as you see, is just a handful of us. 33 categories, that's a lot. 15,000. Approximately 15,000 persons are required to file with us. And to add to that, we have to go through every single declaration. Because of that constraint, the Commission requires category by category. It's impossible to take everybody. So we have to break it up into groups. Hence why we're asking persons from Carriacou to file and not. Some persons might wonder why they didn't ask me. It's just because we haven't reached that category yet, but we're coming to it. On the appointed day, when persons visit the office, well in this case it will be here, the Resource Center, when you come there is a process. So I'm going to go through that process with you briefly, so you don't be surprised when you come tomorrow. When you come in, you will meet a coordinator. The responsibility of that coordinator is to ensure that your envelope is intact. If you need a new envelope for your declaration, that will be provided to you. At the back of that envelope, you'll be required to clearly write your name, your contact information, your email number. You have to complete your post and the ministry you're coming from. Basically, that's the information that will be to the back of your envelope. After you're finished with that process, the next step is called a pre-screening process. Some persons would have called the office asking for assistance to fill in their declaration and guidance as to what supporting documents are needed. That pre-screening process is something like that, or probably is like that. When you come in, the compliance officer will be going through each item from 1 to 13 on your form, just to ensure that you have the correct information. Because it's easy to miss. We know it's a new process, and we want to make sure that it is completed correctly. The pre-screening process also includes to ensure that you have the right document. We must admit there are times that we will ask for activity statements, however a person will just bring a statement. A statement just saying what your account has, what's the balance on your account, will not really give us an idea of the activity within the account. And that is why it is important for you to submit activity statement and not balance statements. After the pre-screening process, if the declarant is in the clear, that is, the declarant we have went through the declaration form, you fill out all that you need to fill, you did your relevant signing and dating, and your supporting documents are authentic. Then you go on to the next step. Yes,
before you move on,
sure.
you were saying that the statement should be activity statement.
That's right.
Then how do we explain, number one, to be supported by bank statement or letter from the bank confirming the balance? Because I had the idea that we had that two options.
And that is why I said it was very important to read the instruction sheet, because the instruction sheet will guide you through exactly what you need. Because it is noted that the declaration form itself says the balance, right, the letter. However, we have recognized that a letter stating balances is not enough to give us a true picture of person's activity within the.
Yeah, well, that is understood, but
Yes.
the fact of the matter is, whereas a letter with your balances will work out to be like something like maybe around $41.75. Each statement from the bank is $41, and so when you do the maths, and we do not have any support in terms of assistance to get those documentation. Because even with some banks, they do not issue you with a statement, a monthly statement. And then when you go in and ask for the information, they don't print out the information without a cost.
We totally understand. You're not the first, and you would not be the
So how
last.
do we mitigate against those things? Because from now on, I have a letter that I paid $41.75 for.
What is your name? Sorry?
Dr. Valentino was smart.
Dr. Laura Smart. Thank you so much for your contribution. And I must share with you that the Commission is aware, and the Commission is feeling the pain too.
Commission is feeling the pain too.
Yes, because the Commission, while you probably are required to file maybe once or twice in your lifetime in your service, the Commission has to file every single year. So they know the burden, and it's something that we are dealing with continuously, and is trying to find ways of mitigating that burden. But we sign on to a convention, and that is one of the requirements. So for now, our hands are tied with regards to that. But we're trying to find ways into how we can assist declarants with the cost of getting activity statements.
Okay, so in my situation now where I have the letter of the balance, I'll have to go back with it tomorrow. I will be told that it's not acceptable.
What we can do, what we usually do, we keep that if the declarant is okay with it, but we have to request for the person to get the activity statement. This is just part of the sacrifice that we have to play.
You said something good.
We need a cooperative bank, online bank.
Yes, if you have online banking.
Get I think it's 200 days as activity statement.
Yes, and Scotia as well, no Republic Bank. So some banks and some credit unions give you the option of online banking, where we will accept printouts. All you have to do is go to the institution and ask them to just stamp and sign that, authorizing that this is a true copy of your activity statement. But we understand the pain. We feel it too. But we're trying our best. But because we would have signed on to the convention, it is part of the requirement, and we're trying our best to adhere.
Ministers here and listening. I've experienced it herself.
Yes.
Stressful.
Any other questions or contributions before I move on? All right then. So so we went through the pre-screening process, what it entails. And if persons pass that pre-screening process, then the next step is to have a justice of peace sign your document. If not, if there's a case that a person really needs to come back, then
You really need to come back.
sorry. Then if the person needs, Minister made a trip to Grenada to do her declaration. So she would have sacrificed that time and that finance to leave Carriacou to come to Grenada to file her declaration. So as the chairman just said, and PS2, yes. So they're leading the way forward. But the chairman just said that if there's a case that persons need to not file again, but to add an addendum to what they would have already filed, to make a sacrifice and visit this beautiful island we call Carriacou.
One question. Justice of the peace. Does that person have to sign each document?
No. Just they sign one document, and that document is a declaration form, and that is the bottom of your declaration form. And the justice of peace is signing just as witness to say, that you are you. So you have to sign in that justice of peace presence. So that last part that requires signature, you have to sign in the presence of a justice of peace, and then he or she will sign. Tomorrow, please Lord, we have a justice of peace in-house. So persons who did not get the opportunity to have a justice of peace signed before tomorrow, we will have one here for you.
Okay, so
No cost, free of charge. We pay. The commission bears that burden.
So the justice of peace, just giving me a sheet with the information, just it back. He's not allowed to go for a room.
No.
So if he's doing that or she is doing that, then
It's your responsibility to say no. No.
Just making sure.
Yes. Because we're not in the room while you're there with the justice of peace.
Okay.
So you have to make sure he or she doesn't get the opportunity to look through your form. The only purpose, the only reason that they're there is to say that you are you sign here to the bottom part of the last page of your declaration form, and that person is witnessing you signing, and then they will do the necessary signing and dating. Are we clear so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But before we go, I was wondering, if you were the declarant, right? What was the rationale for having to declare for my spouse, having to declare for my children?
Children.
What was the rationale for that? Because I'm finding it very